Hey everybody, Monty back for another episode of Life is Feudal 101. I'm really getting excited because now we're not just building our huts and terraforming and doing all that. We're actually getting into combat and building weapons and armor and all that good stuff. So that's what's happening now. We got our Forge and Anvil up last episode. I'm going to go ahead and flip back around, kind of bring up my HUD and inventory. So I hope you guys took the time off like I just did to make a bunch of your iron bars and iron ingots and softwood billets to make a bunch of handles with your knife. And you made a whole new set of tools, which was perfect timing for me because I did some flattening and my shovel broke, my pickaxe broke, so I've got brand new pickaxe, brand new hatchet for chopping down trees. I have my crucible and tongs here, my blacksmith hammer, I have a saw, I have a new shovel, and then I also, in my primitive tools, with your stick you have a sling, and then you can get sling ammo from rock on the ground. So you walk up to some rock on the ground, like remember how we have our little pile here? Back from one of the old episodes, and under prospecting, search for useful flint stone. So that's what's going to be important, because this episode we're going to talk about how to get leather, because we need armor, and to get armor, most of it needs some leather. Just to go show you that, let's go ahead and go over to our Forge and Anvil. Let's go ahead and fire this bad boy up. Let's go light on. There we go. And let's go Armorsmith Forge Armor. So remember, we can only build some of the light stuff now. As our skill improves, we hit that level 30, 60, 90 mark, even up to 100, you're going to get some better options here in your armor craft. Let's say, for example, we want light scale greaves. The scale requires thin leather and common bars. So for chainmail, we can make chainmail. It just requires common bars, okay? We have to build some of this first before we can actually make plate. But plate armor is actually going to allow us to use thick leather. So I want to talk about how to get thin leather, which is your hares and rabbits, which you're going to have to catch with traps. And we're going to talk about thick leather. Thick leather, it's a little bit harder because you're going to actually have to get into a battle and go fight a wolf or a moose. Either one, but the thing is they like to hang out together, so it's good to kind of try to draw out the wolf, maybe make it chase you a little bit, and then go back and hunt the moose, but the moose is going to be running away from you, so we'll kind of look at some tactics of what you can do, because to start out, all you have is a sling, right? So that's that, and now what we're going to have to talk about the next step, which is more for our weapons. Our weapons, you get all these cool weapons that you can build. They just need bars and wood and things like that. But most items here are going to require you to have a higher skill level in your weapons. And the only way to get a higher skill level in your weapons, besides the weapon that you chose when you create a character, is by using practice weapons. And practice weapons take rope, which is farming and all other kinds of stuff. So we won't get into the weapons too much this episode. Just be aware of the fact that you can build weapons here. They need the thick armor and things like that. We might build a few just to take a look at them, but when you try to equip them, it's going to be like, I can't equip it. So first things first, let's go ahead and level up our skills slightly here. I built a new little bag right next to our Forge and Anvil, and this has a bunch of ingots in it, a bunch of bars in it. So let's see how much I can hold. I'm going to throw, 26 bars. Let's throw all the ingots in here for now. So to level up, let's say, remember the scale requires leather, so we don't want to mess with that yet. So let's just make some chainmail. So we're going to make a helmet, which requires my blacksmith hammer to be equipped. Here we go. Here we go. Boom. Alright, craft. And then you sit back, let it craft, and remember, hit escape, or if you walked away, he will keep crafting a bunch of helmets. And as you can see, my Armorsmith actually increased by 17 points just by making that helmet. So let's go ahead and make a chainmail breastplate. Iron seems to be important for a lot of objects, so I hate using up my iron on this, but if that's all I have right now is my iron mine, so we're going to stick with that. Let's get our chainmail van bracers up. We're just going to basically do this. We can't wear it unless you have your horse handling skills way up there. The point of this is to create a set of armor that's going to level up our Armorsmith enough to where we can actually make some plate. So one thing you might notice is we're at level 60. you don't see anything new here. I suggest closing out your Forge and Anvil, right click on it again, go back to Armorsmith, and now, bam, you have all kinds of new stuff. Now it's kind of tempting to build a horse armor. Currently it's 0.2, there are no horses yet implemented, but we'll get there. Half plate. This is kind of misleading. Half plate is actually requires a level 60. So the very first piece of plate armor you want to build is just strictly iron plate. And then you'll have regular plate, you'll have full plate, you'll have royal plate, you'll have all kinds of cool stuff. But as you can see for the iron plate stuff, some of it you can make without leather. So it is good to go ahead and, let's say we want an iron plate helm, let's make one of those. Okay, so we're going to level this up, and boom. Okay, so now, because I want to talk about getting leather and all those things this episode, I just wanted to take a quick second to kind of walk through the struggles you're probably going through, because you're wondering, why can't I build some of the things I want to build? So on your crafting skills, make sure to go to the next page, you go to combat skills, and you can actually see what you're set up for. My character here is actually set up automatically with a level 40 malicious service, which allows me to wear padded armors. Now, padded armors are very, very difficult to make. They require linen cloth, and linen cloth requires a lot of farming. You have to get something called flax, which we'll get into in another episode. Now, my scale armors, however, I can start building up. But the problem, remember, with the scale armors is I need that thin leather. So to get that thin leather, that's what we're going to work on this episode. Alright, so now if you had your two-handed blades mastery up, at least a 30, you could work on your plate armors. So just like here with your crafting skills, you have to get the prereq. Same thing, unfortunately, for some of these combat skills. I kind of get how they're trying to force you to use certain types of armor with certain type of weapons, but you have to level your weapon up before you can get the armor and all that fun stuff. So if you're wondering, hey, I crafted a bow, because you can craft a bow really early with one of your knives, but you have to get your sling skills up, which is your throwing weapons, your leather armors up, then your crossbows, then you can finally use that bow and arrow that's very, very simple to make. You may be able to make bows, but that doesn't mean you're going to be able to master the art of actually using them. Get back to it. Thin leather. How to make it? Well, we have to build, and I was just flattening out some land up here, we have to build a what's called an animal coop. So let's go to our construction. Let's look at what we have here. And I think if I scroll down, here's your coop. Just straight up coop. Alright, so we're going to build this. We're going to turn it nicely. I'm going to put two of them next to each other. Two things can go into these animal coops. You can put either chickens or you can put hares. Of course, a hare is a rabbit, whatever you want to call it, little bunny foo-foo. That's what we have to deal with. I like to separate them because supposedly they will be breeding and you don't always have to catch everything that you're going to put in here. Before we get too crazy, remember, we got to build this. So we need nails, we need wild plant fiber, and then we need 30 common boards, which means softwood or hardwood. So I'm going to get this built. The thing about the nails, that's the only trick I do want to talk about, which, funny me, I have to now go fire this back up again. It's under tools, okay? Just like where we have our shovel and all that good stuff is you have nails. To build nails, you just need a common lump of anything. So I don't know if I have any common lumps made. Now, remember, for ore, we used to have to burn it up in the furnace. The furnace really now just works as an extra piece of inventory, so if I'm really doing a bunch of ore, I want to actually have my furnace and my forge and anvil running at the same time. But you can throw ore into that forge and anvil. So if I ran over here, right-clicked on this and said, let's lower ground, very, very slowly, I'm going to be able to run back and I'm going to be able to actually cook the ore in the forge and anvil. So you're not restricted to the furnace or the bloomery for cooking up your ore. You are, however, restricted to making tools in either the forge and anvil or the blacksmith. So here we go. But ore you can turn into ingots and all that everywhere. So we're going to manage this. I'm running out of wood. But for now I just want to go ahead and throw this in here, and you're going to cook this up, and then when you pull it out, instead of choosing bars or ingots, of course, you're going to choose lumps. And then there you go, you got your lumps, you can make your nails. I want to talk to you about the other things that we're going to need. Once we get leather and get the hides, like for example the hair, which we'll go into how to get the hide from them in a second, you're going to have to then place that hide on a drying frame. Now this drying frame is going to require bone glue, and it is going to also require a softwood board, 4 of them to be exact. Now bone glue, again, something else we'll get into, we are going to have to hunt to make this bone glue. It just requires a campfire, but you have to get bones. So you might get lucky and have some other buddies that are playing who are a little bit more advanced. You might be able to give you some bone glue, but if you're out there on your own, you're going to have to go get some bone glue on your own. Now, moose, they're great. They get 50 bones. The wolves, maybe 4 or 5. That's all we need. We only need 1 bone glue here. So you just mix those bones with some water and we're good to go. Now, the drying rack, that's not it. As we know, everything here is a process. Once you pull your hide and you put it on a drying rack, it's going to be there for like an hour. And then you're going to pull it off of there and you're going to have to throw it into this tanning tub. Now the tanning tub, again, is more softwood boards and 1 metal band. Now the metal bands are actually pretty easy. That does require iron. So let me go to Forge Metal Tools. Here is your metal band, and it requires 4 iron bars. So it does require a lot, but it is possible and doable. So I'm going to go ahead and make 2 of these up, because when it comes to making hides, like I said, it takes an hour in the drying rack and then it takes an hour in the tanning tub. I like to double it up. Okay, so I'm going to turn this guy off for now while I explain this real quick. Then I'm going to give you guys a break and get all this built up and it'll be ready to go. I'm going to put this guy right here, construction, all the way to the bottom, tanning tub, there we go, build. Now I'm going to flip him this way and I'm going to put it all the way to the back. So we can still kind of use this as a nice little walking path. However, it's not going to be in the way. And what I like to do is the drying rack, you'll see, I like to put it kind of behind the tanning tub, because then you can kind of stand in one spot, pull off your hides, throw them in here. It's going to be all good times. So now I just have to get past it. Alright, so construction, construct. See that little pave? Man, I want to get a mallet. Speaking of that bone glue that we need for these drying racks, you also need the bone glue for the mallet, and the mallet is what allows us to pave the road. So under construction, here's your drying frame. Now I like this because you can really kind of get decorative here and angle stuff. It's not like straight this way or straight that way or anything like that. So I'm going to have these kind of angled in. Ah, yes, there we go. And then also, you can see in the distance while this is building, I am starting to build up some little palisade walls because I want to kind of angle this out and keep us a little bit more protected. So this is all going to be paved road, paved rock road, and then I'm going to build these fences along the lines of here. But yeah, now it's time for me to get all the lumps made and get all the items to build all this stuff. So good luck. Go get your iron ingots because you're going to need it for the bands. Get a sling, get some ammo, and I'll see you guys when I return. Alright, welcome back. I got some things started. I got my nails cooking. I built up a tub and one of the coops, and also I figured out this. I built one of these walls here. This diagonal, what I basically had to do is go over here and flatten it, and then it built this diagonal just fine. So it was just a matter of the flattening ground. You don't always require flattened ground to build these, but for that diagonal it definitely needed it. So I went and got a ton of wood, so I figured while I was building wood I might as well build this little wall out. It only takes the big construction logs, so high quality logs, you can actually build up these fence walls pretty quick once you have your construction skill up high enough. So I wanted to show you actually these guys building up. I already have the materials in them. I just didn't want to do it all without you guys, you know, and come back and everything be all finished. So I wanted you to see the actual process of what it takes to build this. But I want to go start working on our snares. Now, to build the snares, because I want some hairs, you got to get your sickle and you got to get your farming up a little bit, because you can gather wild plants. Another way to get your farming up is either harvest from your mulberry trees, which are in the southern part of the map. I've only seen mulberry trees kind of in this area. That's kind of as much hint as I'm going to give you there. Now, apple trees are all over the place. Now, when you go up to an apple tree, if it's got pretty good quality, which I recommend only taking stuff from high quality trees, is you can use your farming and gather the apples. By gathering the apples, that actually does increase your farming skill. Now, I went and gathered a few apples, but it wasn't enough for me to actually plant apple trees in the ground. My farming skill wasn't up high enough. So I got my sickle. I'm going to go ahead and farm up, look for wild plants. I hope you guys caught that. That's what I'm doing. I'm right-clicking on the ground, and instead of finding wild plant fibers, I'm actually in nature's lore, I'm actually looking for wild plants in the farming option. Your coop actually is going to require food in it. Plus, apples are always a great source of food. Like, look at these quality on these things. Quality 39. I've had better. And also quality 30. Now, I think if... Oh, I dropped them by accident. I'm like, I did not just eat those 15 apples. So I actually dropped them, and I bet if I check in my bag, they're going to be hanging out in this bag. Hoping. Oh, they're going to be at the bag at my feet. So the bags just show up anytime you drop something on the ground. However, if you pull everything out of the bag will disappear. It won't disappear on its own, but if you take everything out of the bag, it will go away. So, okay, back to this. What we want to do is find some forest ground, which is like this texture. See the big difference? So now when you right-click on the ground up here somewhere, you go to farming. It's still not giving me the option to plant the trees yet. So I think I have to get my skills up even higher. I'm going to go check the actual skill chart here. I don't need any more logs at the moment. I've definitely put my saw to good use. If I hit the L button and look at farming. Now my farming is at level 49. So at level 30 I can sow and harvest all crops. But at level 60 we can actually plant farm trees like apples and mulberries. So we have to use our sickle. I have to level up a little bit more. I have to keep looking for wild plants. As soon as my farming hits level 60, I can plant these apple trees right in my little village here, my little personal village, and I'm not going to have to deal with actually running way off in the distance or in the dangerous forest to grab apples. I will have my own little apple orchard or mulberry orchard right in my backyard. Now, mulberry trees, that's a quick little tip to that, is that's where you're getting your silk from. That's right, you get silk from these little silkworm cocoon things. But that I will talk about again in another episode. Now, let's see, our farming... when you fail to find anything, you actually don't get any skill points. So, I hate to do this to you guys, but I'm probably going to put you on another pause because I don't want these dragging out forever, and I don't think you guys want to keep looking at my ugly mug so long. So, alright, let me give you guys a pause and catch you back up when my farming is at level 60. Alright, I am back and I got my farming up, so now I'm going to go ahead and hit up this forest soil up here. And you go to farming and now you can plant those apple trees and mulberry trees. Make sure you actually do have the sprout in your inventory. I have 2 of them, as you can see right here. And they're, I don't know, probably a decent quality, I'm not too sure. We'll get to actual full-out farming probably in the next 1 or 2 episodes. And there we have it. There's our apple tree. Nice little tiny tree for now, but it will grow into a wonderful big tree. And the nice thing is you continue to get farming skills. I'm already up to 72 now. So this is good times. Digging up, farming apples. Now, snares. Get sticks, get apples, and get a bunch of those grass fibers we all love so much. And when you right click on your stick, remember how we always had the forestry and we created a primitive tool? Now under your fishing and hunting, you have create a snare. This is where you can actually go, say, create a snare, snare trap, and this is where it tells you exactly what I had already told you. Now go ahead and collect these items, and what you're going to do is make them, and what I like to do with them is put them on the tree line. Now there's this whole track peaceful animal, track aggressive animal, which you'll see under your fishing and hunting. Those will show you tracks to either the moose or the wolf, which neither one of those is what you're looking for. I've heard that if you place the snares down, just rumors that it does actually help as far as catching things in your snares faster. I've also tried to experiment with putting higher quality apples in it. However, it always still seems pretty random with these snares. I'm going to go ahead and just create some here. You go to set snares, and I'll just craft as many as I can. Here you can actually see what it looks like. It's this ugly looking thing here. But we have one made now. I have already taken the liberty last time I took a break to go around and set a bunch of these out, so hopefully we will start to catch something soon because it is getting dark. Here's one of the traps already set. It's kind of hard to see, it's getting dark, and also what this is it's a bag laid out. And when it catches something, you're going to see this big bag up in the air. So for right now, those haven't caught anything. So I like to put these out probably a day before. There's another one. And spend the night, you know, working on terraforming, cutting more logs, doing all that good stuff. And then the next morning, go out, check all my snares, and those animals we will grab and we will put them in the chicken coop. So it's fishing hunting. And then it's just not set a trap, but set a snare. Now the traps you can make in the Forge and Anvil, I haven't ever caught anything in a trap. I've only caught stuff in the snares, so I just don't think they're fully implemented yet. There's our snares. Remember, sticks, apples, wild fibers to build it. Just fishing, hunting to set it. And then it's a waiting game. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to bring you guys along back to the chicken coop. Or hare coop, whichever one you're going to populate it with. Coop in general, the animal coop. I want to build this other one. So I'm going to construct this guy up. It's already got all the nails. It's got everything in here that I need. And I'm going to go ahead and put these apples, because I don't need them for my food, in the coop just so I don't forget about it. Because your animals are going to need the apples if you don't want them to die of starvation. You can also claim it or unclaim it so other people don't mess with your stuff. And you can clean, harvest, and manage. Go ahead and click on manage, because when you click on manage, this is your coop. It's got a little food consumption ratio. So let's go ahead and throw the food in here in your food container. Now all the animals are going to list up here on the left side, and then when your dungo-meter goes up, you're going to be able to clean it. When your harvest number goes up, you're going to be able to harvest it. If it's chickens, you're going to be able to harvest eggs. And then when they get too old, you're going to want to just slaughter them. Now the hares, you actually do get some bones this way. I was talking about how you need to go actually kill something to get bones, but I forgot. You do actually get some bones through the chicken coop as well. You also get that hare hide, which we're going to turn into thin leather. And then you get some weird alchemy ingredients every once in a while, some random stuff that way. So we're going to put some apples in this one. And I'm going to close this out. And here's our other one. I'm going to go ahead and manage this. And I'm going to go ahead and put some apples in this one. And I am going to go ahead and... Oh, I keep trying to tab to close that out, but I'm just closing the stuff behind it. I'm going to go ahead and claim both of these as mine, just so new players don't join in. This is an open server. Remember, guys, this is a nice dedicated server that I have up and running. It's called a Let's Play Nation group, and it's also sponsored by the fully loaded TeamSpeak, which we all use to chat with each other while we're playing. So look us up, a Let's Play Nation. You'll find it in the servers that way and join on in. But it is still open and a bunch of random people join in, and we want to help manage that as well. So what you can claim, go ahead and claim. Now, that's, again, remember what we talked about with our bags. That's just out there. So really, the best way to protect your stuff is either put it on your person when you log out, or you have to build a warehouse, which that's no easy task. And then you can claim the warehouse and keep it locked up that way. Alright, so these are owned by Rico 101. Now, also remember, again, your claiming only works for 24 hours. So if you're not going to play the game for a while, ooh, look at that sunset, your claiming is going to go away and other people can eventually retake it. It's about nightfall. We've got our snares set. We've got our coops up, ready for whatever we catch in those snares. We've got our tanning tubs ready, and our drying racks are just now waiting for us to, unfortunately, slaughter a few animals. So I will come back, catch you guys in the morning. I'm going to actually cut this episode off here. I know, right? We didn't even get to finish it, but you get the drift. Tanning tubs, drying racks, coops, and snares. We covered it all this episode. Right when I start the next episode, I like to kind of carry it on. Just like this episode, we looked at a few of the weapons and armor, even though we learned how to actually get to that point last episode. Next episode, we will actually put the animals in the coops. We will actually go through the process of making all the leather, and I will see you guys then. Until next time, thanks for watching. I'm Monty from Monty Rico Gaming. Peace out.